Welcome, everybody. John Zegar, johnzegar.com. How y'all doing? Good? Good. So, might as well turn the truck off. Little background noise. Got my first cup of coffee. Still dark, blackout. Early. Just got stopped by the police. I was over in Walmart parking lot getting ready to do this podcast, and I was just so intent on getting it set up. I didn't even notice him come right next to me and park right next to me, and all of a sudden he's just knocking on my window. So he said that particular little tiny area I was in was private property. He said just move down a little bit, a few more spaces closer to the store, and that's Walmart parking lot. And he says he didn't care if I parked down there, but it's too light and too bright down there with all the lights, so I said I'll just move. He said go over to Walmart. I'm not Walmart, but McDonald's across the street where I just came from, got my coffee. He says people just sleep in that parking lot all night long, so don't worry about that. Or he said you can go over to Firestone. It's real dark over there and nobody bothers you. He was actually real helpful. He gave me a lot of different places I had not thought of to park. I said, thanks, I appreciate it, no problem at all. And I'll move. And I just decided to come back onto this street that I sleep on at night. It's got lots of trees, and I like it. It seems to be okay. It starts getting real busy over here within the next hour. There'll be a lot of traffic going through here. So I thought I'd come over here real quick and do this podcast. Boy, the coffee. Been to the gym, obviously. Did my routine over there and left to grab the coffee and stuff and do I usually try to do a podcast, or it's kind of interesting, they're not showing up on YouTube. Normally it says that my podcasts all go to YouTube, and they used to, but again, YouTube's not even taking my Spreaker podcasts. TikTok is ruling the world. So I'm going to have to work on that a little bit when I'm done here. Try to figure out how to get these podcasts picked up over there on YouTube. I'm not sure how that works. But at any rate, these podcasts you can get anywhere, wherever you get podcasts at. Right now it seems like it's been for a couple months anyway. Everywhere but YouTube. TikTok is getting awfully powerful. If you don't belong to them and pay them one way or another, they don't let you near them anymore. So I got to work on that today. I wasn't planning on it, but I'll try to figure that out. So today we're going to have a little conversation, not a big one. I don't think people would be prepared for this one, but past lives that you lived. I was listening to Coast to Coast radio last night. Again, if you guys don't listen to Coast, it's really a program you need to pay attention to and listen to on a regular basis. This particular one had a lady that had spent a lifetime studying and treating people in regards to past lives regression. And she went on and talked about the various and different lives that people have had previous to coming here, and knowing people from the past. For instance, here's an interesting little tidbit she threw out last night was there was this lady that was a patient of hers, and she kept bumping into this same guy, not intentionally, right? And the guy eventually died, and she kept bumping into him again after his death. You know, to where you actually feel and sense and interact, so to speak, with this other individual who's passed on. And it got to be sort of uncomfortable for her, because she couldn't get rid of him after he had died. She comes to find out through doing past life regression with this lady that she had known him for years and years and years, not only from the current life, but from previous lives that they both had lived. They both knew each other in past lives, plural, not singular. She went on to talk about a lot of different people and the different lives that they encountered during regression sessions, right? You understand that? So when you do regression, when I was starting off in psychology many years ago, one of the places I worked for was a psychology practice where they did regression. And so I learned how to do regression, and I ended up having a pretty good caseload of people who came in and did regression with me. You know, they went to their past lives and dealt with the issues and the trauma and the death and dying and just everything that they encountered in previous lives. And it was fascinating. It was fascinating. And I was not a believer in the beginning of past lives and people being able to do regression to where they could go back and actually work through issues when they were in other lives of their own. You have to kind of accept the principle that this is not your only life. Here on this earth, right now, in the reality that you perceive, and the work that you do, and the family you have, and the friends that you have, and the health and wellness and sickness and all kinds of things that you're encountering right now is one life. But before you came down here to Earth, and again, this is neuroscience, and there's tons of information about it. You had a choice to pick out where you wanted to go in your next life, which is, let's say, this one. And you picked Earth, and you picked your family, your mother, your father, the town you grew up in. You picked whether you were going to live a life of lack or you were going to be prosperous and abundant in all kinds of things, including money and whatnot. You were either going to live in a third world country or you were going to live in the United States. I mean, you had choices in picking your next life. Now, your next life is a continuation of what you didn't get completed from your previous life. Follow me on that? So here's kind of how it goes. We continue to circulate into more lives in more places. We're not the same person that we are currently. If we're male, we might be female. If we're female, we might be male. You could be a mother, you could be a father, you could, be a bum in Argentina somewhere selling whatever. It's hard to say. You're obviously not going to come back to this planet Earth, again. You've been here, now it's time to go on to another rock, another planet. Because there are other, how would I put it? There are millions of galaxies in the universe. And in all those millions of galaxies, there's millions of planets that hold and sustain life. Maybe not quite as you understand life, okay? But there's other places that sustain life right now. Mosquitoes are coming in the truck. I might have to roll up the window. So you get to pick and choose where you want to go in your next life. And wherever that next life is that you pick on whatever rock in whatever galaxy of the universe you're choosing to be, your life form, energy form, right, is still working on the same issues, although they may not look alike. They may not be the same as you understand them now, right? You don't necessarily come into the new life as the baby being born by the mother in a hospital, all the traditional things that you might think of. Doesn't work that way. You would be born, so to speak, but it may not be from a human species. Different kind of human species on a different rock in a different galaxy in the universe. So things will look different. It's like when you're meditating and you're trying to manifest something or another. I don't know. Whatever it is you're wanting to manifest, a house or money or car, truck or bus or I don't know. But when you actually receive what you're trying to manifest, it's not going to look the same as what it was in your brain when you were meditating. If you're looking for housing and you have this mega mansion picture in your head, you're probably not going to end up manifesting a mega mansion that's in your head. You might end up with, depends on your circumstances, nothing disrespectful, but you might end up with an Airstream trailer overlooking the ocean on the Pacific side and having a 40-acre tract of land that you live on. Well, that's not a mega mansion, is it? But is it a mega mansion? Yes. It's so overwhelming what you got. How many people end up living on the coast of an ocean with those views and that amount of land and the serenity and the peace and the quiet, and you know, it's beyond mega mansion. So what you get may not be what it looked like in your head before. For some people living, I don't know. For some people living out on the street and sleeping, like if you listened yesterday, we talked about all the homeless people, you know, sleeping on the curb between the sidewalk and the street. There's that little grass patch, and you know, there's a lot of people that just sleep right there year-round in a sleeping bag, not a tent, and that's their life. And when they're trying to manifest something with walls, they might have all kinds of different ideas. What they might end up with is an efficiency apartment, which is not a sleeping bag on the curb. You all get that? Sometimes we don't end up with what our brain has a picture of, but we end up with the same thing. The guy with the sleeping bag on the curb may end up with a fabulous little efficiency apartment with the safety, security, walls, heat, air conditioning, cooking, bathroom, you know, all of the amenities, so to speak. And it's everything the guy had been dreaming of, just looks a little different when he gets there. Doesn't have to look exactly the same, but it is what his vibrations were seeking, and that's what the universe sent back to him. Okay? So the same thing is true with when you go on to another life, right? It may not be what you're thinking it's going to be. There's getting to be a lot of traffic right now. Here comes a semi. You may hear it, you may not. I'm not real sure about that. But your next life may not be the life you're dreaming of. I mean, there are people that realize and understand, according to neuroscience and their research, that you move on to different life forms in eternity. The whole myth, and it's a myth, about, there's heaven that has the streets paved with gold. Well, no, that's not true. That's just made up by the church, and it's a myth, and it's not actual. It's not factual. So, do you go to heaven or hell? Well, there's not even a hell, anywhere. You don't go down into the bowels of Las Vegas casino and live down there, as hell, because I'm sure it could be hell. There is no hell. That's a myth as well. That's a myth. Was there a so-called quote-unquote devil? Sure. Of course. God kicked out the bad angels from where he was and sent them down to earth, and they came down and they raped and pillaged earth. And they also shared technology with earthlings. How do you think all this stuff got built, So there's a lot of stuff that is in the Bible that's in the Bible for reasons other than what they preach. How else would I say that kind of stuff? So everything is not what we imagine. Everything is not what we're being taught or have been taught as young people, going to school, maybe a Catholic school, maybe a Christian school, maybe whatever. The Bible is not a factual representation of what was going on or what is currently going on. It's just not. It's not. So when we go to different lives, as I was saying before, when we move on through evolution and eternity, things are different than what we perceive. Things are different. You're going to go to another rock probably in another galaxy in the same universe, but you may not be a human form. You still are going to work on the issues that you had in this life form as a humanoid, but you might be a different representation of energy. That's kind of heavy and kind of confusing, and you really need to digest that. Let me try to give one last example. So my sister passed away. Actually, it was her choice to do it, but, she had been having an unsurmountable amount of difficulties in her life with her family because of, not genetically, but through neuroscience, from where she came from, she upregulated the difficulties that other women in her family, that would be her mom, her grandmother, her aunts, blah, 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 they all encountered difficulties in their lives as she did, and so it became so reckless that it was time for her to move on and work on it in a different life form. Okay? So she dies, right? Because of emotionally, she just had enough. And it was time to change and go work on it in a different way and means. So she passes on. She's not sitting up in heaven, because we don't have one of those little things with golden streets you can walk up and down, We don't have that stuff. That doesn't exist. She's not down in hell, because we don't have one of those things, She's not, I don't know, laying in the ground somewhere and whatever happens to you, decaying your body, your bones, and all that kind of stuff. That's not going on either. Okay? So you need to understand, she moved on. She moved on to another rock in another galaxy. Our universe is humongous, so it's still within the same universe. And she doesn't have any recall of her husband, her kids, her family, what street she lived in, the house she lived in. There's no recall of that. You could take those people and plunk them right in front of her, and she would have no clue of who those people are. It's not like that. It's not like she's sitting somewhere up in a movie theater, eating popcorn, watching all of us down here do whatever it is we do. It doesn't happen. She's gone. Her energy has moved on. Her energy form is living her eternity somewhere else, unbeknownst to what she understood when she was here. Different life forms. Who knows what her life form is? Nobody really knows. None of us will ever, ever, ever know what her life form is right now. And when she's finished with that life form on that rock in that galaxy, she'll move on to another one. It's called eternity, you guys. Before she came here, she might have been at 1,000 previous life forms on various rocks and planets and galaxies all over the universe. And this happened to be one stopping off place for her. See, eternity goes on before we get here. Back, no human knows how far back it started. And it will go on forward, for no human knows how long that eternity will go on for. So it helps you to identify that you are pure energy. That's all you are. That's all I am. That's all this guy is. This person driving in this car, this person behind him in that car. We're just energy, energy, energy. And energy comes every single thing your eyes are viewing right now. In mine, I'm viewing energy. The concrete, the asphalt, the trees, the telephone poles, the light poles, the vehicles, the little animals, critters, bugs. It's all life form energy. It's all energy. We are 99.9999% energy. We're not matter. Nothing in front of us is matter. Where people go wrong, and neuroscience talks a lot about this, is boy, that coffee's cooling off. What neuroscience talks about is how we can come to understand ourselves as energy and not matter. There isn't any part of your body that's matter. Follow me on that? So right now, actually as soon as we stop, and I'll stop here real quick, you need to immediately shut down and begin to meditate in the deepest state you can get to. And practice, 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 practice until you can get deeper and deeper and deeper into your meditation and understand you're nothing. You are nothing. You are nothing. You are pure energy. There is no matter associated with you. You do understand the concept. There's a lady running. It's just barely light, and she just ran past me. I have my window down, but she's bent all the way over. She doesn't look that old, but evidently she must be older and sore, and somehow she got information that if she could run and exercise and blah, 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 it might, I don't know, get her to stand up straight, I guess. Whatever's physically wrong with her is clearly she's not well. But I've seen her run here every morning, and it's kind of interesting. But anyway, I guess to kind of bring this whole thing to some kind of closure, meditate on you being energy only. You know, comprised of atoms, right? Because atoms are 99.9999% nothing energy. There is no matter in atoms. And that's what you're made of. That's what the world's made of. This whole picture in front of me and you and everybody is just an illusion. Just an illusion is all it is. It doesn't matter what our situation is. It's still just an illusion, you guys. Just an illusion. And there's people that are doing dastardly deeds to one another because they perceive life and life form to be, sorry about that, they perceive life form to be matter. You need to perceive life form as being energy. That's what I'm trying to say is you need to, how would I say it? You need to meditate at a deep enough level that you understand your energy. That's all you are, is energy. Trying to get into my truck while I'm talking. So, kind of an interesting podcast. It's a good one. I hope people think about it, meditate on it, try to apply it to being on this rock, in this place, in this galaxy, in this universe. And that here's an interesting tidbit to take away with you. Aliens are just another life form of energy that came from a different rock in a different galaxy, probably within the same universe. That's all they are. They're not, they're just not some weird little creature. One of them might actually even be my sister. Kind of funny. So anyway, God bless everybody. Take care of one another, and I look forward to talking to y'all again real soon. Thanks a lot. See you. Bye.